What's up, everybody? We are live, and today we're going to be discussing how to get paid what you're worth again, and I'll be answering your questions. So if you do have a question, leave it in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer that question for you. Just like normal, I am going to pin my email address in TikTok Live. And if you have a resume you want to send to me and you want me to review it, I'll be happy to review it and give you. And for those of you who are on TikTok profile, it is Coach Daniel Smiley at gmail.com. Coach Daniel Smiley at gmail.com. On YouTube, it is Coach Daniel Smiley at gmail.com. And on the podcast, it is Coach Daniel Smiley at gmail.com. You guys have been sending me tons and tons of questions. Thank you guys so much for all of your questions. And I'll continue to answer those questions for you so I can help you win in the marketplace. No one's going to come to your rescue. You hear me say this many times tonight, and that is you have to become your own advocate. When you sit on my side of the fence, you will learn that no one is looking out for you. In corporate America, they are not looking out for you. Okay? This is about them, making money, growing the company, and the powers that be above you. That's where their job is. That's where their goal is. Okay? And it's important for you to understand that. And so I'm sharing from my guide, How to Get Paid What You're Worth. If you want a copy of this guide, you could just click the link in my profile and grab a copy. There are other resources in there for you as well. If you want to support what I'm doing, you can give as well. But I'm here to answer your questions, help you to win in the job market, and give you all of the secrets, behind the scenes secrets, things you don't know, maybe have never thought about, haven't experienced, and no one is going to tell you. And the reason why corporations do that, and I'm part of it too, is because we want to appear to have some sort of an advantage. We want to appear as if we're the prize. But think about this. What if everyone in your company, the company that you're working for right now, or the company that you previously worked for, what if everyone walked off the job and there was no production, no one answering phone calls, no one doing sales, no one making things, no one making decisions, no one, right? What would happen? Well, that company would go out of business, right? Companies need people to make things happen, and you're part of that. But hiring managers don't want you to know that. They don't. And so they position the job as if they are the ones that have the advantage, when the truth is you do. If you have a question, you can leave it in the comment section. On Instagram, you can subscribe if you want. All of these lives are replayed on Instagram for subscribers. It's just $4.99 a month. Just click the subscribe button and you can subscribe. I think I did that correct on Instagram. So you can subscribe. And thank you to everyone who has subscribed. Thank you so much for all of your support. For all of you who have given a $10 gift to support what it is I'm doing, thank you so much. And to all of you who have gotten the guides and the resume templates and done the one-on-ones, thank you guys so much for what you're doing. It is telling me, it's confirmation that what I'm doing is the right thing for you. So let's talk about how to get paid what you're worth. Now, I listened back to some of my replays, and I want to make sure that I am giving you guys good information that you can use in the marketplace. And one of the things that I failed to do last time is to give you a clear understanding of how pay is determined in organizations. And I am going to do that tonight. Now, the reason why I'm doing that is because I want you, if you have an interview tomorrow or this week or next week, or you're going to start looking for a job, I want you to be able to walk into that interview with all the power. Okay. So if an employer tries to lowball you, you will have data from the resources that I'm about to share with you right now. You will have data that you can say, no, no, no. Pay for my position and my experience in this market is this range. This is what I'm expecting. And if they won't give you that, you will know they're trying to get over on you. Okay. So I'm going to be sharing that information with you tonight. So here's a couple of things I want to try to do. Okay. So number one, I want to know where you're watching from. Let's do that from the very beginning. Where are you watching from? Are you in the US? Are you in another country? Where are you watching from? Okay. And then if you have a question, leave it in the comment section. Number two, I want you to share this live with as many people as possible. Hit the share button if you are on Instagram or on TikTok. Hit the share button and share it so it can go broad. Okay, I'm doing this because I want to share information, and then we want to try to get up to 10,000 likes on TikTok. So that means you have to click the screen to tap the screen. We want to try to get up to 10,000 likes during this live. That's what we want to try to do. Okay. All that does is it helps the algorithm show it to more people. And the reason why I wanted to show it to more people, because I know for a fact you don't know what's going on. You have no idea. Most people have no idea about how job interviews work, how to get a job, why hiring managers are doing what they're doing, why they're not getting a response back when they submit their resume. You don't know that stuff. And as a talent acquisition manager, a recruiting manager for 35 years, working in that field, I know exactly how the game works. In fact, I'm the one that helped create the game. Okay. And I'm going to tell you the truth about how the game works. So tap the screen so we can get up over this live on TikTok, so we can get up to 10,000 likes. Tap the screen on Instagram. And if you have a question, leave it in the comment section. So we're going to start off by answering some of your questions right now, because I want to make sure that I am taking care of you guys and serving you. If the job has already had a salary range, can we request more? Yes. So in Martos 85 asks, if there's already a job range that has been posted, can we ask for more money? Yes. Now you will hear me say this over and over again, so I'm going to say it now. Always, 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 100% of the time, always ask for 10% more than what your skill, experience, education, and background warrants. Okay, always, always. Now, the important distinction here is you have to make sure that the pay range in the market that you're in for the position that you're applying for. Okay, so that is an important distinction that we will be discussing here in just a moment. Like, I'm a talent acquisition recruiting manager. If I apply for a recruiter position, just a recruiter position, not a manager position, not a director position. If I apply for a recruiter position, I cannot expect to get the same pay as a recruiting manager. The role and responsibility is different. Okay. If I apply for a director position, I should be expecting more than if I were applying for a recruiting manager position. Okay. That is important. So make sure you always ask for 10% more. And I give you guys the key to how to ask that. When the manager gives you the offer, you say, thank you so much for the offer. I really appreciate that. Are there other incentives? that go along with this offer. And then you also want to ask the question, can you guys go to whatever 10% is above what it is the offer was that they gave you? Excuse me. Okay. You want to make sure that's what you're doing always. How often should you do that? Leave it in the chat. How often should you ask for 10% more when you're given an offer? How often? Leave it in the chat. Okay. A Minute with Monet says, my yearly review is coming. I've landed a major contract on top of my yearly increase. Should I ask for more? I'm sure you're asking, should I ask for more money? Yes. Always, always, always ask for more. Okay. Now, increases can come in many different forms. It could come in a pay increase, a position increase. It could come in an additional bonus, an additional percentage in commission, right? If you are producing, and you should be, top performers typically are producing 10 times their salary, or their cost savings is 10 times their salary, or their support of someone else is helping to produce 10 times their salary. That's what I would consider to be a top performer. Not breaking even, not 2 or 3 times, 10x. If you are a 10x performer, you should always be asking for some sort of an increase in commission percentage, bonus at the end of the year, all of that good stuff. I typically set up base salary plus a bonus based on my KPIs. We set those KPIs up, and I expect to check the first or second paycheck in every January, period. And I get it in an offer letter, and you should be asking the exact same thing. Humble Child 219 on Instagram says, is it wise to apply for a job that you're not qualified for? No, it is not wise. There are some jobs that have corresponding skills that you can apply for. For instance, if you've been a retail salesperson doing customer service, you can apply to a customer service call center position because the function is customer service. The delivery is different. One is over the phone, one is face-to-face, okay? So you shouldn't be, but if you are a customer service rep, you shouldn't be applying for a CPA job, right? Or if you're a customer service rep, you can apply for an account manager or sales position. There are some corresponding skills that will allow you to transfer from a customer service rep to an account manager to a salesperson. There are some transferable skills. There are some entry-level jobs that you can apply for if you have some baseline skills, right? Good communication skills. I mean, you can go sell cars and all of those things as well. I started in the early 90s in recruiting in a very different way. I used to be in door-to-door sales many years ago, selling advertisement. And when you grew your team to be so large, you got an opportunity to build a team through interviewing. And that's why when I fell in love with the recruiting process, posting positions, writing ads, interviewing candidates, building teams. That's when I fell in love with it in the early 90s. So it's a transferable skill. So what I learned in that job in the early 90s has carried me all the way for the past 30 plus years. And you can do the exact same thing. Remember, continue to tap the screen so we can get up to 10,000 likes on TikTok. So yes, if you have a transferable skill, you can, okay? Even if you're a customer service rep that has done customer service work on the phone, you can transfer to maybe do administrative assistant work. There are some transferable skills there, data entry, answering the phones, receptionist type work. You can do that as well. So yes, but if it is a complete mismatch, and you will know that, don't apply for it, because even if you do, you're wasting your time, and you're wasting the time of a recruiter because they're not going to respond to you. Let me tell you why. I think it's important. Okay, so Chocolate's from New Jersey, Arnold's from the USA, Smokey's from Texas. Thank you guys for joining from those places. I want to continue to know where you're from. Remember on TikTok, continue to tap the screen. So why is it a waste of time to apply for a position that you do not qualify for? Let me tell you what's important to hiring managers and recruiting managers like myself, okay? In most companies, the biggest expense, the amount of money they spend the most on, is staff salaries. That's the biggest expense in almost every company in the world, okay? Staff salaries. Not technology, none of that. It's people, okay? So companies try to be very careful when it comes to hiring. And what they prefer is what I call a plug and play solution. That means you can walk into the organization and within 30 days of being acclimated and trained on the company's processes and policies, you can get right to work and start producing in your role, okay? When you don't have experience, the time to train you, to acclimate you, stretches out to 6, 9, 12 months, okay? So that's money that a company has to invest in your training. They have to have somebody train you. They have to use all of the resources to get you trained before they even know you're gonna work out. That's why it doesn't make a lot of sense for you to apply to a job that you don't qualify for, because that is the behind the scenes stuff that nobody tells you about. Okay. All right. If you have a question, leave it in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer it for you. Smokey, should I be concerned that a position was eliminated? The company realized a mistake, rehiring the position with additional responsibility. Okay. I want to make sure I understand your question. Was it your position that was eliminated? Was it another position that was eliminated? I want to know, and I'm going to tell you, should I be concerned that a position was eliminated? The company realized a mistake, rehiring position with additional responsibilities. And here's the deal. Each position in an organization contributes to either cost savings, the support of someone who's producing, or production, okay? Or management, you know that, management, leadership, so on and so forth. And so sometimes companies will overhire and then realize, well, we don't really need somebody to do this other thing because that's really only like 10 hours a week extra worth of work. And we would have to pay that person $40, 40 hours. So we might as well just shift that additional responsibility to another person. And that could be you. And then they do make the mistake. So they're not necessarily eliminating position, they're course correcting. They made a mistake with respect to hiring, and they're making a course correction, okay? So that's the deal with something like that, based on the information that you've shared with me. Adrian said, I had an interview today, and I asked, and it lasted 15 minutes. Is that a bad sign? So Adrian, I need to know one or two things. Was it a hiring manager interview, or was it a recruiter interview? I would tell you, if it was a recruiter or talent acquisition or HR interview, a 15-minute interview is the same as like a pre-screen. That is not a bad sign. If it was a hiring manager interview and you only was in that interview for 15 minutes, yes, move on, because they're probably not going to select you. Typically, interviews last a minimum, depending on the type of position. If it's an operations line position, they're going to last about 30 minutes. If it's a supervisor or leadership or management position, it could be 45 to 60 minutes. If it's a senior level manager, VP, director type position, that can last an hour to an hour and a half, and it could be multiple interviews. But if it is a 15-minute interview, that is the same as me dipping my hand in a sauce to see if it has too much salt or not. Move on. And if you need help with not having such short interviews. And I can tell you, so you initially probably interviewed with a recruiter, you got past that person and you went to interview with a hiring manager, or this may have been the initial interview with a hiring manager. That person did not like you, okay? And it didn't have anything to do with your skill, ability, experience, or background. That person did not like you as a person. And when I say that, don't take that personally. I mean, when I say likability, I mean that person did not believe that you were the kind of person that they would like to be in a room with for 8 hours a day if that room had no windows. That's how I try to give people an understanding of what likability is. I don't know if my one of my one-on-one clients is on this live, but I had a conversation with a gentleman today with a one-on-one live. This guy is like, I mean, he's a superstar. He's very skilled, but he wasn't getting offers, and I recognize why. Okay, sometimes you can be too much for a hiring manager, intimidating. I've had that experience many times, and I've had to dial it back. Now, what do I mean by intimidating? See, I know recruiting, and you may know your job inside and out. You might know it like the back of your hand. And if you walk in there really overselling all of this amazing experience you have, some hiring managers are intimidated by that. And they won't give you an opportunity because they are afraid, it's the truth. They're scared that you are going to just outproduce the rest of the team, take over the team, take their job. I mean, that's the honest to God's truth. They are afraid that you are too good for the team. They're just afraid. And so they will cut the interview off very short and won't hire you because of that. And that's the reality of it. This is the behind the scenes stuff that I want you to know about. Adrian says she didn't even tell me about the company. Yeah, because she didn't want you to know about the company. She didn't like you. She just didn't. I would ask that hiring manager after your interview, I would say, tell me what your thoughts were. She would be like, well, the hiring manager would be like, well, I just don't think she's a fit. I don't think she's a fit. Well, what do you mean you don't think she's a fit? Well, I just don't feel like she will fit into this team. And see, we can't combat that. We can't override that. Then I'll ask the question, what was it about her that made you feel that way? And she may give me some answers. And then we have to go back and try to find people who are not like that. And if, let's say you were a person, she interviewed with somebody else and didn't like that person, and you were the person that I spoke to after that, I would tell you the issue she had with the other person. And I would say to you, don't go in there doing this because this hiring manager doesn't like it. Okay. Now, I told you guys earlier, nobody's going to advocate for you. Nobody's going to be looking out for you. You go in there, you got all the skills necessary, and this person, they don't care about that. They care about what they want, right? I want somebody who I feel comfortable working with. That's what their thinking is. And that's why I have you answer the questions the way that I have you answering the questions. I don't want you to overtalk. I don't want you to overpower. I don't want you to, outshine that person, because I'm telling you, I work with thousands of hiring managers. They're not going to give you the job because they're scared. They're wimps. And that's the truth. I don't have any problem hiring somebody who has more skill than me in talent acquisition. Because one of the things I know is I am an excellent leader, visionary, right? But a lot of people are not like that. They're just afraid. Okay. And so that's probably what the deal is. Humble Child, thank you, says thank you. That makes so much sense. FA5713 says, keep up the outstanding work. I will. This is a God thing. I'm doing this because I am compelled by the Holy Spirit to do this. and share this information with you. End of story. And for people who don't understand that, that's on you. They ain't got nothing to do with me. Smokey made it to the third round of interviews. Manager divulged that information. I would like to know what information you are speaking about. LUCRE says, what is a transferable career for an executive assistant? Okay, so an administrative assistant is a support role. An executive assistant is someone who typically supports a senior manager or higher. So it could be a senior manager, a director, a VP, typically a C-level executive. And the responsibility of an executive administrative assistant is to take all of the administrative work off of the administrative load off of an executive so they can be freed up to run the company, provide vision, manage the organization. That's what their job is. So the administrative tasks, whether that's travel or writing letters or answering calls or doing PowerPoints or whatever it is you're doing, you're taking the administrative work off of that person so they can do things that help generate revenue for the organization, either directly or indirectly. So it is a support position. So an administrative assistant is, you got to think about it from this perspective. In most organizations, you have, I'm talking about the function of the operation: sales, service, support, accounting, and leadership. Those are the 5 areas in most organizations. Okay. Or production, right? If it's production type of organization, you have sales is the same thing as production. So those are the types of people you have in an organization. So the question is, as an administrative assistant, it's typically a support role. It has to be some sort of support role that transfers over to, get ready, a human resources generalist. So that executive administrative assistant can be an HR assistant, an HR generalist, and all we have to do, because you're organized, because you've done the support, we add to you the HR compliance piece, and that can be a human resources person. So that's a transferable skill if you want to go into the HR space like I'm in. Okay, so that's a transferable career if that's something you're interested in doing, or something like that. So Smokey said no. Let me see what your question was, Smokey. Made it to the third round of interviews. Manager divulged that information. Okay. All right. Smokey, the recruiter reached out, and I'm currently interviewing for the position. Okay. So you've already, I'm thinking you already interviewed with the hiring manager. With the recruiter. Now you're going to be interviewing with the hiring manager, and I want you to go in there empowered. Okay. So make sure if you need to talk through this, Smokey, send me a message. You can either DM me on Instagram, TikTok, send me an email, or text message. You can text me now as well. Just go to my bio, you'll see it. Or you can schedule a one-on-one so I can prep you for this this interview, if it's a job that you really want. Okay. If I miss your question in some way, retype the question so that I can make sure that I answer it. So Adrian says she didn't even tell me about the company. She told me I will know if I got the job tomorrow. I was thinking that was quick. I'm telling you, before she even calls you back or not call you back, you did not get the job. No one can find out your ability to solve a problem within an organization in 15 minutes. Recruiters do 15-minute pre-screens, and the purpose of that pre-screen is to confirm that your skill, experience, and education are what's listed on the resume. Okay, and then we pass you on to a hiring manager with all of that data. They have all of the information already, and then what they are responsible for doing is making sure you are a people fit, a people culture fit. They already know you can do the job, and they should already know that your desired pay is within the pay range. If you're interviewing with somebody on my team, they will already know that. So we've gotten past the hard part. The hard part, the next step in the process is for them to make sure that you're a fit on their team. That's the whole deal. And if you've only had a 15-minute interview, I can tell you, don't get your hopes up that they are not going to select you. GB Boogie says, your personnel or staff, especially if it's the manager of the company you work for. Okay, I'm not sure I understand what your comment is, or if you asked the question. Okay, I'll go back to it. GB Boogie Child says, what about a client who tries to micromanage? Okay. Okay. Micromanagement, very good question. Your personnel or your staff, especially if it's the manager of the company you work for. Okay. So let's talk about that. So the whole question is, what if you have a manager who is the manager of the whole company, potentially the owner, and they are trying to micromanage you, your staff, and people on your team? Well, let's think about that. Why do people micromanage? Okay. Well, it may or may not have anything to do with you. Let's say it does have something to do with you. I'm not saying this is you, GB. I'm just saying this is typically what happens. Now, I want you to pay close attention to what I'm about to tell you, because this is important. They're either micromanaging you because they don't trust that you can do the job that they're expecting or asking or paying you to do. That's number one. So they're making you report every little thing, tell them everything that's going on. They want to know every detail. They want to know that. Okay. Now I'm gonna give you the HR side of it. The other reason they micromanage you is because they're trying to get you out of the organization. They're trying to make you trip up because they know that nobody can cross every T and dot every I. They're micromanaging you because they are trying to get rid of you. Okay, that's the HR side. And they don't have any documentation to do that, so that could be the case too. So if that person is a micromanager in a small organization, maybe they have money invested in a business and it has to work, so they're putting their hands on it. And if they're going to micromanage like that, the truth is they don't need you. So my advice would be, if that is just the character of that person, start looking for another job, because you ain't going to be happy. Okay. I prefer autonomy, freedom. I want you tell me what to do. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to do it under budget and on time. So that's me. So if I have somebody who's trying to micromanage me, that becomes problematic for me, because I mean, you're just telling me you don't trust me, and that's cool. If you don't, I'll go find somebody else who does. Okay. So that's the situation that you're in. So it's either one or two situations. They either don't trust you, or they're fearful that things are not going to get done the way they need to get done, or they're trying to get rid of you. That's just how it is. Okay. Somebody said, he reminds me of Kevin Samuels. I get that comment sometimes, so I'm not sure if I should say thank you or not, but I'm just trying to be Daniel Smiley. Appreciate that, though. Let me see here. And I don't think that was you weren't trying to be disrespectful. I don't think that, so I appreciate that. Well, humble child, do you have any advice or an exercise for overcoming nervousness and becoming more confident in interviews? Yes, I do. I actually have a guide in my store called Overcoming the Fear of Job Interviews. There are two primary reasons why people are nervous in job interviews. And the main one is anxiety. It is the fear of the unknown. You don't know what they're going to ask, how it's going to go, how you should answer those questions. That's why I'm here, right? That's why I'm doing this. That's why I am posting this information, so the anxiety can be removed. But I encourage you, go to the link in my profile and find the guide, Overcoming the Fear of Job Interviews. It will change your entire life. Okay, so grab that. That's the answer to that question. Luker says, I am considering that. I've been an EA at AA for 8 years. Yeah, You gotta take care of yourself, man. Because here's the deal, and I've said this before, and I'll continue to say this: you have to advocate for yourself. No one is going to look out for you, and I do not want someone to sneak up behind you and give you some sort of sneak attack that you are not doing your job and you out of there. You know what I mean? I don't want that to happen. If you have a question, leave it in the comments section. I'll be happy to answer that question for you. Juxtaposed Life says, this is true. A lot of people think they need to give a number to appear to be smart and decisive, but it is usually a great way to shoot yourself in the foot. And she's responding to, if a hiring manager asks you what kind of money you're looking to make, your answer should always be, I'm open. Now, why do I say that? Okay. Remember, you're walking into the interview already knowing, you already know what the pay range is. It is impossible for them to make you a lowball offer if you follow what I'm telling you. It's impossible. You will know exactly what the pay range is. And the reason why you say I'm open is because you want them to reveal their hand first. Let me explain to you what I mean. If you are an impressive candidate, a smart manager will take you to the top of the pay range, regardless of your experience. They'll take you to the top for the most part. They'll take you to the top of the pay range. But if you give them some low ball number, like the position pays 30 to 40, but you say, well, I'm good, we're making 25. I promise you, without the protection of a talent acquisition pro like myself, they're going to pay you 25. But if you walk into that interview knowing that the range for that position based on your experience, education, and background is 30, 35, or 40, then you can tell them, based on my market research for this particular job, my experience and ability to solve your problem, I am looking for no less than 36. Don't say nothing else. If that company is efficient, talent acquisition or HR would have already provided the market pay range for that position to the hiring manager, and you should fall right into that range. So where do you get that information? If you haven't subscribed, write this down. If you haven't subscribed to my Instagram, write this down. You will need to go to Google, Glassdoor, or Indeed.com, and you are going to type in your position in your city, okay? Whatever that is. So it will be, for me, talent acquisition manager in Dallas, Texas. If I type that in Google, what is the pay, the average pay for a talent acquisition manager in Dallas, Texas? It will tell me the range. Now, where is it getting that range from? It's pulling the range from all of the companies that are like in nature, the same kind of companies that are posting positions all over the internet. It pulls that range for you, okay? So you'll be able to see that. And you'll notice that the bottom of that range is entry level, the top of that range is senior level, and the middle of that range is a mid-level person. Entry level is 0 to 2 years, mid-level is 5 to 7 years, senior is 10 or more years, okay? So when you walk into that interview, let's say you've been doing this job for 6 years, you know if the pay range is 30 to 40, you fall in 35. Don't ask for 40, don't ask for 30, you're in the 35 area. Okay, that's where you are, okay? And you should ask for 35 plus 10%. That's how that works. And that's what you should be asking for every time, always, 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 always ask for 10% more than the range calls for, okay? One day at a time. I have a question. Okay, ask it one day at a time. G Boogie says, I am not the only one who goes through the micromanagement process. My supervisor is also the one who is. Not a good company. leadership is not good, that will drive me nuts. Not sure how you deal with it, but I would be out of there. I wouldn't care how much time I invested in it, because at some point, that person who is micromanaging is going to get so critical of you, and you might find yourself with a pink slip looking for another job. Okay. All right. Quintessential says, do you have any advice on whether I apply for jobs that require a degree in qualification section on Indeed, even though I have experience in the position? This is a very good question, and I appreciate you asking it. So let me explain to you how companies view experience, degrees, the whole 9 yards. And I'm going to answer it in a very simple way. Do you think a company would prefer to have someone who is a new college grad with a 4-year degree to do a job, or someone who has been doing that same job for the last 4 years straight? Like, which person do you think is more of a fit? The one who has been educated in the job, or the one who has actually been doing the job? Which one do you think is more of a fit? I know you're pretty smart, so it's the person who's been doing the job. But why is that? Why is it that that person is more qualified than a person who has a degree, depending on the type of position? It's because companies are looking for people who can walk in from day one, and after a very short training time, typically 30 days, that person can start producing immediately in that role. An example would be if you have been doing, I don't know, payroll. Let's just hypothetically say payroll. Let's say you've been doing payroll for the past 4 years, and somebody just came from college with an accounting degree, whatever, right? If you've been doing payroll for the last 4 years and you've been using QuickBooks or something like that, or Paycor or whatever, ADP, you can walk right in and start using that tool immediately. Whereas the college grad has a little bit of a learning curve. Okay. There are some things that you've experienced that that person has not. So companies value both, and sometimes not equally. What do college degrees tell corporations? For the most part, right? It tells them that you can focus on being loyal to and accomplishing something for 4 years, right? Well, it's the same thing if you work for a company for the past 4 years. It's the exact same thing. The preference, though, for most organizations is, I would much rather have somebody who can walk in and start producing. So even if you don't have a degree and the position calls for it, I advise that you apply, especially if you have the experience 4 or more years. Okay. Our supervisor is subject to the micromanagement process, and most of the time he is frustrated. Okay, Boogie, this is the last time I'm going to say it. I wouldn't work for a company like that. I can't do it. You sound frustrated with your comments, and that's probably not a good spot to be, man. Got to make sure you take care of you and your family, okay? You don't need to be stressed. You don't need to be, you're working 40 hours a week at this company, and you don't need to be stressed out. That's not how it works. It shouldn't work that way. Good leadership don't function like that. They don't do that. Okay? So reconsider, sir, please. Or ma'am, just reconsider. Do not put yourself to that. You're going to wear yourself out. Okay? A. Phil says, well, what if the salary range is 87 to 142? How do I ask for fair pay? Okay, so let's do this exercise. So I'm just going to make it simple, 90 to 140. Okay, so the difference between 90,000 and 140,000 is 50,000. Okay, so the halfway mark between 90,000 and 142,000 would be 25,000. So 115 or 142. So Entry level will be 87. Mid level will be 115. Senior level will be 142. Okay, so you have to ask yourself, where do I fall in on the experience and production range? And that's how you're going to determine whether you 87, 115, or 142. That's how you make that determination. Bad Gal says, can I ask for 10% when you go through an agency? Yes. Okay. So here's how staffing agencies work. You may or may not get it. Staffing agencies are probably not going to, well, let me back up. That's not true. So the staffing agencies make money. For those of you who don't know, they make money based off of a markup. Okay, so they have a contract with a company that has a percentage above the person's pay rate. To make the math real easy, if you're making $100 an hour and they have a 50% markup, their contract is a 50% markup, they're going to pay you $100 an hour and bill the client $150 an hour. Okay, that's how it works. That's how staffing agencies work. So if you want more, $110 per hour, the staffing agency will go to the company and say, hey, they'll say, hey, Daniel has all of the experience you need, can get the job done, but his minimum is 110. If the client says, yes, let's go ahead and pay him 110, then they will bill the client 50% above the 110. Okay, $110 per hour, not the $100 per hour. So the staffing agency is not going to lose out because there's a contracted range, a contracted percentage above. So yes, you can ask. Quinn says, I'm a mortgage underwriter. Okay, so you're a mortgage underwriter. Let me try to go back to your other message. Restate your question so that I can understand what you're asking. You are a mortgage underwriter. Okay, great. Quinn says, thank you. Okay, LUCRE says, I don't have a degree. However, I have some college coursework, certifications, and equivalent experience. I'm noticing some companies are requiring a bachelor's degree. I'm currently going back to school. Don't go and spend all your money on additional education. I'm about to give you some game here, so listen to me, Lucretia. Don't go back and spend all of your money on additional education if you don't know you're going to get the job. You're just going to find yourself in debt. Instead, if a degree is so important to this company, ask them one simple question. Will you pay educational reimbursement? Ask that question. They may require a bachelor's degree because it's somebody's preference inside of the organization. And maybe the position is some sort of technical type position, but don't go spend your money on the additional degree if you don't know you're going to get the job. You're just going to find yourself in debt and be disappointed. And that's not cool. Quintessential, I was just giving you the position when you gave me an example. Okay, thank you. ASA says, thank you always for giving us short and brilliant answers in your videos. You're very welcome. The reason why I do that is because I know hiring managers, all of them. From my position, I think I shared this with you guys before in another live. From my position, I interviewed with the CEO of the company, not my direct manager. And that was because the CEO did not trust my direct manager at the time. And the same type of answers I'm giving to you are the exact same type of answers I gave to him. Same ones. He cared about one thing. Can I solve their recruiting problem? And I explained to him exactly how I would do it. Very short, very sweet, straightforward. People don't need long, drawn out, personal layered questions. They don't need that. Can you solve my problem? That's what they want to know. You give them real straightforward answers. Natasha Dean says, hi, how you doing? Honeybees, I have 20 years of experience in healthcare with a master's degree. Hard time getting a job and leadership, and I'm frustrated. So Honeybee, I'm gonna advise that you do a one-on-one with me. I could tell you either what's missing or what you need to do. Listen, leadership is a complete different skill. Okay. Now, how can you position yourself to be a leader in an organization if you have 20 years experience? Okay. How can you position yourself? So what is the job of a leader? So I have people on my team. So let's say it's just me. Well, the company is expecting me to work 40 hours a week to get 40 hours a week worth of work done. If they give me 10 people on my team, the company is giving me my 40 hours plus their 40 hours. So I need to get 440 hours worth of work done. Well, how am I going to do that? As a leader, I have you have to have a very good understanding of how to get from point A to point B with respect to solving problems, right? And you need to be able to teach, train, and develop somebody else to do the exact same thing. There are only a couple of things that leaders are responsible for doing. Number one, you provide tools for your team to get a job done. That's number one. And as a leader, if you have 20 years experience, you should know what tools are required to get a job done, okay? The next thing you need to do is a leader must provide the adequate amount of time a person needs to get the job done. Just because you gave them the tool to get it done, you can't have them try to do a 20-hour job in 2 hours. It doesn't work that way. You got to give them the time to do it, okay? I need you to do this. I'm giving you the tools to do it. And then I need it done in this time frame because you know how long the task is going to take. I know on my team, a recruiter can pre-screen, okay, in an 8-hour day with notes, 4 candidates an hour, 3 at a minimum. So over 8-hour day, 24 candidates a day, nonstop. I know that. If they follow the interview template that I give them, I know they can do pre-screens of 3 candidates an hour, 24 a day. So submitting 3 candidates shouldn't be an issue because my metric is 9 to get 3, 27 to get 9, 9 to get 3. You're going to look at 27 resumes to pre-screen 9 candidates to submit 3. And I know how much time it takes. I'll model it. I'll show them exactly what to do, and I'll give them the tools to do it. The job boards, everywhere they need to go, I provide that for them. So you need to provide the tool, the time, and then you need to train them how to do it. So I don't just tell my staff, this is what you need to do, and this is how much time you need to do it. I model it. I show them exactly how it's done. Okay? How we reach out to them initially, how we screen people, how we do all of that, okay? I give them all of that information. So once I've given them the tools, the time, and the training, the final piece is I'm gonna hold them accountable for meeting the expectations that have been set, okay? So leadership is a very different skill set. Don't get frustrated, right? Prove to them that you can lead. How can you do that without having a leadership role? Start to take on projects that have multiple people, that have deliverables, and prove to them that you can get it done. Or find another organization that values your leadership ability. We are at 1,000 likes on TikTok. 1,000. I would like to have more, please. Natasha Dean. I'll start a new job on the 30th if my background comes back in time. They can have you start, typically backgrounds are 3 to 5 business days, and they can have you start without the background getting started, without the background coming back, depending on the organization. They'll typically give it 2 to 3 days after that. If it gets close to that time, human resources can call the background vendor and try to get a rush on it. So congratulations on your new job. How long? Oh, I just gave you the answer. How long does it take to get the background back? Okay. Lucretia says, I'm currently an executive assistant. I'm looking to leave my current organization, perhaps because I've been at the company for 5 years. I almost feel like I need to fully revamp my resume. Well, if you haven't sent a copy to me, send it to me. I'm going to advise that you do a one-on-one as well. You can click the link in my profile. We can do that. And I can talk you through where you need to go to look for it is, what you need to look for, and how to position your resume and information to be a solution to whatever problem is you're trying to solve in your next role. Quintessential says, as a mortgage underwriter, the market changed, and due to lower seniority, I had to leave a company and went to another where I wasn't making what I was used to. I then started looking at credit underwriting jobs. I talked to a gentleman I did special one-on-one, I think on Saturday, same issue, mortgage, the industry changed. I mean, that's the ebb and flow of the of that industry. I haven't had many responses on my application in this market. So I don't know if you've gotten my resume template guide. If you're not getting responses, it's because the hiring manager or the recruiters cannot clearly see what you are an expert at, okay? Your experience is not enough, right? If you position your resume the way that I share with you how to position it, you will see how to clearly show your area of expertise, okay? So Quintessential says, in different fields outside of the mortgages, are they requiring degrees? One example would be trying to apply for a GM as a credit underwriter. So if you're trying to apply for a general manager position as a credit underwriter, I think that's what you're saying. Again, people who want degrees value degrees. People who don't value degrees don't want them, okay? So it's not a hard and fast rule that you have to have a degree doing X, Y, Z. Companies value experience more than they do a degree in 9 out of 10 cases, okay? Because they want you to be able to walk into the organization and start producing immediately. Every hour, minute, second, week, or month that you are unable to produce, every minute you're unable to produce, it is costing the money, time, and training, potential loss of revenue. So while degrees are very important, your ability to walk into an organization and make things happen is what's most important. Quintessential says, I figure since I was familiar with looking at credit reports and working on financial area, maybe I could get a job. You need to, ma'am, you need to do a one-on-one with me, because I need to get you very, very focused and clear on what it is you need to be doing. Okay? Because being all over the place trying to figure it out on your own, you are trying to DIY your way into a job, and that's just not going to work. Okay? So please, I'm telling you, click the link in my profile and purchase the one-on-one time so you and I can talk. Edward, why would a hiring team be interviewing me? Hint, I'm overqualified. Why would they interview me in the first place? I'll tell you why, Edward. So when a company sees someone who is supremely qualified or they have more experience than the position needs, they're going to want to interview you. In fact, if they had a crystal ball and knew that you're going to be there for 10 years, they will make you an offer. The reason why their companies are skeptical to interview people who have way more experience than is needed, the reason why they do that is because they're afraid that if you interview for this position and you have all this extra experience, that if something comes along that's better, that pays more, they're not going to be able to keep you. So their fear is they don't want to invest the time and the money in you being there a short time. What's a short time? 3 to 6 months. Companies want people who are going to be around for at least 2 years, right? And they're trying to do their best to predict that. And if you are overqualified, if you have more experience than they need, they're just afraid you're not going to be around. So it is on the candidate, you, me, to convince them that this is what you're looking for. I am a talent acquisition manager, but I've been a talent acquisition director. I've been a VP. VP of operations. I've done all everything you can imagine in talent acquisition. This is what I told the CEO. I said, this is why this position is important to me. I says, as a director or a VP, I was a bit removed from the action. And I love interviewing candidates. I love that. And even as a VP and as a director, I still wanted to do that. But obviously I can't do that. My job is to move the organization forward as a senior manager, as a director. And so I like being a middle level manager because I like being close to the action. So even though I've had senior level, executive level positions, I feel like where I am in my career now, over 30 years, I like being in the on the front line more. I like developing recruiters, not necessarily managing managers. I'm okay with that, but I want to be able to talk to candidates, touch candidates, be part of the offer. That's what I like doing. And so I explained that to him. That's why I was applying for this job and not some VP of HR or VP of talent acquisition. That's why I'm applying for this job. That's where I know that's where I'm best at. So even though I was supremely qualified, I could walk in and make changes in the organization immediately that were positive for the organization. They gave me the opportunity because that's how I explained it. Why did I say all that? As a person who is supremely qualified, who has more experience than is necessary, you have to express to the hiring managers that you are not going to be hopping around, that you're not interested in another position. Not saying that if one comes along, you're not going to move, but they're afraid that if another position comes along, you're out of there. That's what they're thinking. Okay. Natasha says, thank you so much for your help and support. You're welcome. Bert says, I sent you my resume, gave me email address. I need your assistance. I will look at it. I promise you within the next 24 hours, you will have my response. All right. When the essential says I'm in General Motors. Okay. Natasha, how can you walk into an organization and start producing when you haven't gotten familiar with their systems? Oh, that's a great question. It's easy. You don't have to know their systems to know how to produce in a particular role. You're learning the systems so that you can integrate it into the role that you do. What do I mean? Excuse me for using a sports analogy, but I'm going to use this sports analogy, Ms. Dean, since you asked the question. A quarterback is a quarterback on a football team. And just because they change teams, it doesn't mean they can't play quarterback. It's a different playbook, but the baseline skills for a quarterback, how to pass the ball, lead a team, call plays, hand the ball off, it's the exact same. The baseline skill is the exact same. Different playbook, same skill. As talent acquisition, recruiting is recruiting. I may use a different applicant tracking system at one company than I do another company, but it's all the same. Different buttons, same function. They all do the same exact thing. They all use Indeed, all use LinkedIn, they all use ZipRecruiter. It's all the same. All of it is. Okay. Facebook. They all do the same exact thing. Just different. They may have different ways of getting there, but it's exactly the same. If you go to an organization, you're an executive administrative assistant. You may be a supporting senior vice president of sales and not the CFO of a company, but it's still typing letters, scheduling meetings, and you may be using Teams instead of Zoom. You may be using Google Docs instead of Microsoft Word, but it's all the same. It's all the same. That's how you walk into an organization with the baseline skills, learn how they do it in less than 30 days, and you start taking over. When I started with the company that I'm with, I started on October the 29th, and they were 122 positions behind. It took me literally 83 days to get us to even hires. 83. We were in the middle of busy season. They were struggling because recruiting is recruiting. I just took a week, went to multiple markets, learned what they were doing. And then after a week, I sat back and I met with the entire team and I said, okay, this is what we're doing. This is why it's not working. This is what we need to start doing, and this is how it's going to change. So baseline skill, and if you don't know what that is, if you don't know what yours is, if you will, and how you can easily shift from one organization to another organization, send me a message. I'll tell you exactly what your baseline skills are. Okay? And that's how it works. All right? Clay says, first time watching. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So listen, I would love your support. Guys, I'm doing this because I want to be a blessing to you guys, and I know that you guys are being helped. I do. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. I'm going to ask you to please consider giving a $10 financial gift. You can just click the link in my bio, give a $10 gift. You can give it by credit card. You can give it by debit card, whatever. I would appreciate that. It helps me to continue doing what I am doing. If you need help in any way, shape, form, or fashion, you need to learn how to find a job faster, how to negotiate pay better, how to make sure you're getting what you're worth. If you need the interview cheat sheet, the top 50 questions every hiring manager asks all over the world, right? They all ask the same question. I work with thousands of hiring managers. They all ask the exact same question. I give you the questions and the answers if you study them. If you have anxiety when it comes to interviews, I understand that anxiety. I've created a guide to help you overcome those anxieties. If you need help with your resume, you can send me an email, coachdanielsmiley@gmail.com. I will review your resume for free and tell you exactly what you need to change. And if you need help, you can click the link in my bio, and I'll be more than happy. There's a resume guide template that you can use to do your resume the exact same way as that one. And that resume template is designed to have your resume be attractive to hiring managers and recruiters, and it's applicant tracking system friendly. Not only is the applicant tracking system friendly, but it is good for Indeed, LinkedIn, ZipRecruiter. It'll get you noticed. I promise you that. Okay. And then for those of you who need just a little bit more help, if you want to book a one-on-one with me, you can book a one-on-one with me by going to the link in my profile. I also will help you by reworking your resume. If for some reason you just can't find the words, you just don't know how to put it all together, I have a resume rewriting service. 3 business days, we'll turn that resume around to you so you can start using it and posting it everywhere, okay? I will continue to do these lives, because I want to make sure I am empowering you, I'm equipping you, I'm giving you the tools you need to take care of your family. Because like I said in the beginning of this live, no one is going to advocate for you. You have to advocate for yourself. I'm telling you, because I'm on the HR talent acquisition side, I'm telling you they are not going to do it, okay? They are looking out for themselves. And if they don't believe that you are going to be able to do the job for them the way they want you to do the job, you will not get an offer. I promise you that, okay? I talk with hiring managers every single day. Many of you are listening to what it is I'm saying, and you are taking the advice and you are utilizing it to further your career. Thank you for doing that. I'm giving you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. All this game is for you. Again, thank you for your support. If you're not following, please consider following. I post videos every day, and I'll continue to do that. I say at the end of every single live, I will spend the rest of my life helping you get to the next level in your life. That's why I do this, because I enjoy it, and I want you to live the life that you've always dreamed of. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next live tomorrow.